The Bachelor finale reaction, the final chapter of Grant. Let's start with how the finale looked at the beginning. Everything seemed peaceful, right? Grant was walking along the beach, narrating how far he'd come, reflecting on two amazing women and how he's finally ready to propose. But let's be honest, we knew something was. From that first confessional, Grant's tone wasn't that of a man who had made up his mind. It was confused, hesitant. That scene of him staring out into the ocean in silence. It wasn't romance. It was doubt. And that set the tone for everything that followed. Honestly, I was already stressed. Because when you hear a bachelor say, "I didn't expect to feel this torn, this late in the game," you know heartbreak is around the corner. Chapter 2. Juliana's final date. A love that felt inevitable. Let's talk about Juliana. Their final date was warm, intimate, and emotional. When Grant said, "You see me in ways no one else has," I thought, this is it. This is the connection that's going to win. And when Juliana brought out that handmade scrapbook of their journey together, my heart dropped. That was a woman who wasn't just in love, she was all in. Every photo, every caption, it wasn't performative. It was real. It was vulnerable. She was literally giving him a map of their story. And the way Grant looked at her? He held her hand like it was the only anchor he had. But at the same time, and this is where I knew something was wrong, his eyes weren't smiling. There was love there, but there was also fear. Doubt. Uncertainty. Juliana said, "I'm not afraid anymore. I trust you." And I honestly had to pause the episode. Because she shouldn't have. Chapter 3. Litia's final date. I love you. Be you. Now, Litia, this was a different vibe altogether. Their chemistry? Explosive. That physical magnetism between them has been undeniable since night one. But this final date was complicated. She was guarded, not because she didn't love him, but because she didn't know if she was the one. When she finally said, "I love you," I felt the shift. You could see Grant almost relax. He needed to hear that. But the problem is it came too late. All season long was hot and cold, passionate and distant. One day she's all in, the next she's pulling back. And when Grant said, "I've waited so long to hear that," I realized something. He was still chasing the idea of. It wasn't grounded. It was based in potential. Which is why I think the ending went the way it did. Chapter 4. The final decision. I can't give you what you deserve. Okay, let's just dive in. Juliana shows up first. She steps out of the car, glowing, full of hope. You can tell she thinks she's about to get proposed to. And why wouldn't she? Grant's final date with her felt like the culmination of a love story. She said everything right. She was open. She was steady. She was ready. And then, Grant starts crying before he even opens his mouth. That moment? Soul-crushing. You could literally feel Juliana's body tighten. She knew, when he said the words, "I can't give you what you deserve," I swear, I actually yelled at my TV. Because what? What do you mean? If anyone deserved anything, it was her. She gave you grace, commitment, emotional safety. She never asked you to chase her. She just showed up every time. And Juliana's reaction? Poised. Heartbroken. Devastated but proud. She said, "I hope you don't regret this," and walked away with dignity. And I was in shambles. Chapter 5. The proposal that felt unfinished. Then comes Litia. She walks up, clearly nervous but excited. And Grant, now weirdly calm, says, "You challenged me. You made me feel things I didn't expect. I want to build a life with you." Then the proposal. He gets down on one knee. She says yes. They kiss. Fireworks. But was anyone else watching that and thinking this feels wrong? Because that proposal didn't feel like a grand declaration of love. It felt like a relief. Like he was convincing himself. The sparkle wasn't there. There was a heaviness in his eyes, a question mark hanging in the air. And Litia, even she seemed surprised. Not elated. Just processing. I don't want to say he chose the wrong person. But I do want to say he didn't look sure. And that's not how a finale should feel. Chapter 6. After the final rose, the bombshells begin. Now, let's talk about after the final rose, because that's where it got real. Juliana came out first, composed, stunning, emotionally intelligent. When Jessie asked if she still had feelings for Grant, her pause said it all. She said, "A part of me always will. But I've accepted that love isn't always enough." She dropped the quiet bomb. "I just hope he's being honest with himself."
Phew.
Then came Litia and Grant. At first, everything looked okay. They held hands. They smiled. But then Jessie asked, "So, how's it been since filming ended?" And you could feel the tension build. Turns out, they'd broken up. Not officially, but on a break. Classic. Grant admitted, "Things got harder after the cameras stopped rolling. We realized we were still figuring each other out." And Litia said, "I thought we'd be stronger by now." It was awkward. It was honest. And it confirmed what we all feared. This relationship wasn't built to loss. Chapter 7. Grant's Inner Struggle. A Man Torn by Choice. Let's take a second and talk about Grant. He's a man who, all season, wanted to do the right thing. You could tell. He tried to be thoughtful. He wasn't reckless with emotions. He cared deeply about Juliana, about Litia, about getting it right. But the truth is, he didn't know what he wanted. He fell in love with two very different women and never made peace with that. One represented comfort and emotional safety. The other represented excitement and passion. He kept waiting for the clarity moment that never came. And instead of confronting that uncertainty, he made a choice anyway. A choice that, by the time of after the final rose, already looked shaky. In some ways, I feel for him. But in other ways, I wish he had taken a beat. Not proposed. Not pretended he was sure when he wasn't. Chapter 8. Juliana deserved better. Let's say it loudly for the people in the back. Juliana deserved better. She was the emotional backbone of the season. She handled every twist with grace. She never badmouthed Litia. She never played games. She stayed grounded, open, and kind, even when Grant waffled back and forth. And how did that get repaid? By being the backup plan that never got called in. You could see it in her eyes during the finale. She wasn't just heartbroken. She was betrayed. Because she trusted him when he said, "I see my future with you." She believed him when he said, "You're the one who feels like home." She let her guard down. And he walked away. And somehow, she still had the class to thank him for the experience. Queen behavior. Chapter 9. What comes next? So, what happens now? Well, here's what I think. Juliana will thrive. She's the kind of woman Bachelor Nation rallies around. I wouldn't be surprised if she's already being courted for the Bachelorette. And, honestly, she deserves it. As for Grant, I don't see a long-term match here. There was too much instability. Too many highs and lows. A real relationship can't survive on adrenaline and conflict resolution. Grant needs to do some soul-searching. Because love isn't about choosing the most exciting option. It's about choosing the person who makes you feel most yourself, even on the hard days. And she's fierce. But she needs someone who won't make